Hey everyone, my name is Sam and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification, and if you get to the end and enjoyed it, then give the video a thumbs up. So if you're a regular watcher of my channel, I took last week off. I didn't really announce it like on a video, I just kind of mentioned it on my Instagram and Litsy. I just needed a break. I just needed a week of break. I just, it was back to work full 7 days a week again. And hopefully I had a lot of stuff kind of sort itself out this week too, so I'm very happy I won't have to work a second job for much longer, which I'm very happy with. I have 2 weeks worth now of books to tell you about, but a couple of them are rereads, so I will just kind of give you the gist, and I will tell you about the newish books that I read and give you my thoughts on them. So the first book that I read in the past 2 weeks was Jacoby by William Ritter. It is one of my 2019 goals to do a reread of this series. I love it if you are a fan of paranormal or mystery or historical fiction. This honestly has a very Murdoch mystery feel, if you've ever watched that show. It's kind of got a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes spin, but not really. It's more just like this mystery in the United States in 1892, and the main character is kind of our Sherlock Holmes-esque character, and he takes on a lady to be his sort of Watson character, and it's just it's a really fun series. There's 4 books total, and I want to give a reread of this series and get ready for William Ritter's releasing a new book. It's not in this series. I believe it actually is a middle grade, whereas this is a YA, but I just enjoy this book series so much. It's just so fun and light and enjoyable, and like there are dark moments, but like it's just fun. So once again, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. My thoughts on it haven't changed. It's wonderful, enjoyable, quick read, and I highly suggest it. I also did a reread of Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. I'm very excited because she's in the TBR and Beyond group doing a chat, and we also, this past week, did like the group read kind of discussion on it, and I'm so excited for King of Fools. It comes out in like 2 months, I think, now, and it's sort of like Six of Crows in like Las Vegas-y sort of situation. City of Sin, main character's mother is gone missing, so she goes to said City of Sin, where she was last seen, and she meets some sort of Six of Crows gangy characters, and then there's also these casino kind of lords, and then there's this magic card game that gets involved. And then there's like a revolution that has happened in the past that keeps creeping up, and lineage, and I'm such trash for the slow burn romance in this, and I love it. Still love it. I still don't totally understand the card game because they like explain the rules and everything. I just don't understand it. But anything beyond, like, Go Fish is kind of beyond me with cards. So, highly suggest it. Really, really excited for King of Fools, and really happy I gave it a reread. Then I did a read of Beneath the Citadel by Destiny Soria. She is also going to be in the TBR and Beyond group. I've been so excited to read this book since I heard that it was coming out. That it came out, and I've just been kind of waiting to read it closer because I knew she was coming to the TBR and Beyond group. And it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but this is probably one of my favorite starts to a book that I've like really ever read, like that really comes to mind. I find a lot of books, that have like, oh wow, that's interesting, and you kind of start out, but this is just like, it's like you literally pick, like, it's slap right in the middle, but it's funny and it's not too confusing. But we literally start with these characters being like accused and tried and found guilty of treason. They're like, yeah, we're gonna murder you, and they're like, well, yeah, you should. Like, there wasn't like all the necromancy or anything that I thought there was supposed to be, but there's just a lot of conspiracies, and people are going missing in this world in the dungeons, and they run through the dungeons to escape after being tried and convicted and said, we're going to kill you. And they find out exactly what's causing all these disappearances, and they have to sort of pick between who's right and who's wrong, because they have this thing in the dungeon, but they've also got the government, which is severely corrupt. They don't know who to believe, and they've all got kind of their own backstories, this group of misfits. And I want to reread this already. Like, it was just a really enjoyable, fun book. Like, it doesn't really necessarily look like that when you look at the cover, but it's just fun. I really thoroughly enjoyed the whole book, all the characters, the world. I feel like this was an interesting, that it's kind of a fantasy paranormal standalone. I feel like those are really hard to do because you have to develop this world enough that I'm interested, but not too much where I'm like, why are you telling me all this random information? But then you don't want to withhold information to the point where I'm like, I can't paint this in my mind. I don't get what I'm supposed to be invested in this world. I feel like this author did an amazing job of finding a medium somehow between all of that stuff, that I got a sense of the world. I feel like it'd be cool to explore it more if she ever wanted to do more in a series. But I also, like, I got the gist, I understood, I was invested in the world, you want the good to win, And it just, yeah, like I really, really was really pleasantly surprised. And I know the author has another book, I wonder if it's in here, called Iron Cast, that I think that was her debut. My friend really suggested as well. So I'm definitely going to go and take a look, see if I can find that book as well. But I think I ended up giving this book like a 4 or a 5 out of 5 stars. There's really nothing that I could think of that I didn't like about it. It wasn't amazing, the best fantasy I've ever read, but for a fantasy standalone, really, really, really impressed and really enjoyed it. I also finally read Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier. Now, I read this book because one of the challenges for the TBR and Beyond Reading Challenge was to read a book despite the cover. And I look at this cover and want to throw it. I hate these sorts of covers. I'm sorry. I know some people enjoy them. I hate them. Like, I detest them. This is like your spot to be creative. That's not creative. However, I kept it just because they were like, people told me there was time travel, and I was like, all right, I'll always give time travel a chance. Pleasantly surprised. I think I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think the ending where the romance was suddenly thrown in was not, like, it was unnecessary. It was lazily just like, oh, we gotta do it. There was no build up or hinting that that was going that way. It didn't really make sense. But that being said, I didn't hate any of the characters. I'm curious at how they're going to use the time travel, because in this world, she's modern day, and the time traveling gene gets passed about every other generation to the eldest, and her cousin is believed to have the gene, so they've been prepping the cousin for all that, but no. So she is time traveling and doesn't know how she's doing it, but so she doesn't know how to control it or to get back, which is obviously quite dangerous, and she gets stuck in this sort of sticky situation, and then is kind of getting help from a fellow time traveler. But then obviously her aunt and her cousin are quite angry that she's the one that got the gene, and they don't understand it. And like, they don't use time travel, I think, the way that I was expecting them to use it. Like, it's not a very, like, romantic-y, we have to go save my, you know, dead father or something like that 3 decades before or anything like that. It was kind of unique, I think, for time travel. Or it was more than I thought it was going to be plot-wise. So that's a big positive. I'm definitely going to keep reading it. I'm curious about how they were, like, kind of explaining the different jewels in this power world, too. It was really interesting. I think they could have maybe done a slightly better job of explaining some of, like, the politics or the structure. I think they just kind of hinted at things. And it could be because I believe it was originally written in German, and then translated into English, so things can definitely get lost in translation. But that being said, didn't hate it. I was really expecting to hate it, and I didn't. So I'm definitely going to keep going on with the series, and yeah, that's pleasantly surprised. So I guess, like, the prompt of read a book you wouldn't because of the cover, and, you know, it worked out for me. And the last book that I started and finished finally was A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This is originally written in French and has been translated into English by Europa, and it looks like they're doing the full series. I think it's originally a trilogy. Now, this book was massive in France, apparently. Like, huge. Like, it has to do well for them to be like, oh, it's worth the translation time and process. And I love this cover, and, like, the rest of the series, I don't think they have covers, but there's the colors of what they'll be, and the other one's like an Easter yellow, which I'm kind of vibing with. That being said, literally, there's nothing happens in this book. It's like 450 pages before things finally start happening. They keep throwing in kind of random, like, hints of romances, but absolutely no development whatsoever of it. I don't know who's supposed to be good or bad, and not like oh, everyone's morally gray. It seems like it either got lost in translation, or the author isn't totally sure who's supposed to be good or bad. Like, I don't, in the full book is like 475 pages or something like that. I could tell you maybe 2 characteristics about the main characters. Ophelia has glasses, and she's pretending to be a boy for a good chunk of this. And Thor is kind of a douche, and he's the treasurer for this world. Like, nothing makes sense. Nothing is explained. It's not like ooh, I want to understand this. It's like they forgot to explain it, or it didn't translate when they translated it over to English, or yeah, it was, and as far as translations goes, it's very choppy. There are some sentences that are not clear that you have to keep rereading and being like, what the heck are they actually trying to say? I don't understand. Like, what they're saying doesn't make any sense in this plot. And then you'll get 2 paragraphs later and you're like, oh, okay, well, the sentence should probably be going here then. It was not translated well. I'm annoyed because I really, really like this cover. And it's just, yeah, no, I literally couldn't tell you. There's a bunch of, like, side characters that I still don't quite understand the purpose of yet. Maybe it'll develop later on. I don't think I'll read the rest of the series unless, like, the other covers are just, like, amazing. And in that case, I'd just buy them for the covers, probably. But I liked, oh, that's the other thing I do know about Ophelia. She has the ability to travel via mirrors. That has so much potential. Like, we've talked, Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors. It's like, I was trash for that book for that reason alone. The ability to travel via mirrors. I'm obsessed with that concept. It's not used enough. But it's just randomly like, oh yeah, she can travel through mirrors. And then like, that's it. And like, and then she kind of half uses it like twice maybe. Like, I don't understand why so much of it was included when it doesn't really play a role. And it just took up space, like unnecessary space and time. It wasn't needed. It just, and like things finally kind of started picking up near the end, but like, I just didn't care by that point. I was just really done with it and the characters, and yeah, unfortunately. So I think I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I think what really threw me, I could have gotten through the like pace or like the lack of character development or the random romances thrown in. It's the choppiness of the translation that really was like the straw that broke it for me, unfortunately. So, and I'm not done it yet, but I am still working my way through A Breath of Snow and Ashes. I've passed the halfway mark, so hopefully I can finish that by the end of the month. So I think I have another 500 pages or so left, because Outlander books are beasts, and I like taking my time. There's so much historical details within them. So those are all the books that I read over the past 2 weeks. Let me know in the comments section down below what you read this week. I would love to know. And if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were, I'd also love to hear. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link all of these books to their Goodreads pages, and I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.